Stocks trade just a bit softer with the carnage in the US equities overnight as fears of recession in US start to blow over. Realty and energy are the big gainers even as IT and financials drag. The IndusInd Bank stock slumps after it discloses incorrect derivative accounting concealed a loss of over 2,100 crore rupees pre-tax. The move coming soon after RBI approved only one-year term extension. CEO spooks the investors. Morgan Stanley's Rhythm Desai tells CNBC-TV18 that the relative valuation of Indian stocks are attractive and earnings downgrades lower than the world. He sees the current uncertainty environment as a good time to invest for high long-term returns. American economist Ken Rogoff calls Trump's tariffs a terrible idea, saying that they hurt the country imposing it the most. He, however, sees a low likelihood of US recession and sees India as the bright spot in the world. Hello, good afternoon. You've tuned into Business Lunch, coming live from CNBC TV18 Motilal Oswal Studios. I'm Vinny Motiwala, and thank you so much for tuning in. Today, what we've seen in the markets is surely has recovered from the day's lowest point. 22,400. Yes, it's below the 22,500 mark. But you know what the global equities were doing overnight, the handover that we had coming in this morning. Right now, we're seeing at least the Nifty is recovered. It even went to the green territory a couple of times. But back in the red again as of now, very muted right now, 0.08% decline. So a bit of on that lower side is what we're seeing. Bank Nifty, that's where more pressure is coming in, down 0.8% in today's trading session. In that range, it's not seen much of a recovery or an up move like the Nifty or the benchmark indices have seen. Mid and small cap also have seen a recovery coming in, up 0.2% is what the decline of 0.2% is what the Nifty mid cap is doing as of now. So keep an eye out on that one. Small cap too is trading with cuts of almost 1% as of now, off the day's lowest point. But yes, small cap is a bit more under pressure. So the underperformance today that we're seeing coming in is more in the small cap end. Advanced decline ratio today is, we're seeing 1,955 stocks on the decline side versus 689 stocks on the advance. So clearly, advance decline ratio today is in the favor of declines versus advances. Let's look at some of these contributors of what is happening on the Nifty front today. We have ICICI Bank, Bharti Airtel, Sun Pharma, Kotak among the names, as well as Reliance, which is supporting the market today. While in terms of drag, obviously IndusInd Bank, that's seeing a very, very sharp fall today, opened up in that 10% circuit level. And then furthermore is what we've seen fall coming in. Infosys also is under pressure today, M&M as well as Bajaj Finserv. This is what is dragging the market in today's trading session. Now, when you're looking at it in terms of some other stocks that have recovered from the day's lowest point, Chennai Petro, that is up almost 10%-11% from the day's lowest point. So very sharp recovery that has come in for Chennai Petrochem. Look at it. Opened up a bit in the red and then it's just started picking up pace, and Chennai Petro up 8% in trade right now. IndusInd, that's another one. From the day's lowest point, it's recovered almost 8%. Keep an eye out on that. Tata Communications also is in focus on the back of a brokerage note that we had coming in. Tube Investments. Other than that, we have Paytm. Pull that up. Paytm is interesting as well today. Paytm has recovered almost 6% or more from the day's lowest point, as of now trading with gains of 4%. So these are some of the stocks in the broader end that are seeing a good recovery in today's trading session. So surely we'll be keeping an eye out on how the second half of the trading session is going to be now. But on that note, let's get started with the show and focus on the top stories for today. American economists, we spoke to Ken Rogoff, who is saying that there's a warning of potential recession in the United States. And he's speaking about it exclusively to CNBC TV18. Rogoff said that the consumption in the United States is likely to be impacted by Trump's tariff, and he predicts a 30 to 35% chance of an economic recession. A former chief economist at the IMF, Rogoff, said that Indian economy remains in a bright spot. Listen in.
I think the risk to U.S. inflation have gone up, and the U.S. Risk to U.S. recession have also gone up. So it makes it a little bit difficult to call. If you asked me 2 months ago, say at Davos, what was happening to U.S. rates, I would say there's likely to go up as to go down. I think they're a little more likely to go down than up at this point. I think the recession risks are real. I don't want to overstate the recession. You quoted Goldman Sachs at 20%. Oh, I would put it higher at this point of 30 or 35% at least. You know, it's a terrible idea. I'm an economist, and all the people. The Trump administration has some very good economists in it. Let's understand that, but they would get kicked out if they complain about the tariffs. So every single one said, you know, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, as an example, said very sensible things. I've been impressed, but he has to say that tariffs are a good idea. They're not. And I think a thing your audience should understand is that the country that suffers the most from imposing tariffs is the one that does it. We could see a Musk-type figure appointed to the World Bank. That's not hard to imagine. I think the World Bank and the IMF are both doing very great things for the world. I'm not supporting this, but they are absolutely right to be worried about it. Well, I think there's no question there's a lot of positive energy around India at the moment. For one thing, countries are diversifying away from China, and India has benefited a lot from this. The tariffs will hurt a bit, but you know, India still has, you know, very strong capital spending, better growth than most emerging markets in the US. I don't see any reason for that not to continue. It's not helpful if the world slows down, but India has certainly been a bright spot in the global picture for the last couple of years.
Okay, now let's move on to the next important story that we had today, and reflecting on Kenneth Rogoff's statements on India, market editor Rhythm Desai, who is Morgan Stanley's India equity strategist, comments that Indian fundamentals are improving and the market may be at a turning point. Listen in.
Now, if you look at the foreign portfolio position in India, they are the most underweight they've been on Indian equities ever. And most importantly, India is now a low beta market, unlike the past. So if you go back 10, 15 years, India used to be a market which had a beta of more than 1. And for your listeners, that means that India used to go up or down a lot more than the world. Now, if the world is in a trickier position than it has been for many years, the likelihood is that India will outperform. India is like consumer staple stocks. It will outperform a bear market in the world.
Okay, let's move on and talk about the stock of the day. IndusInd Bank, that's in focus. It's its highest ever intraday fall after it discloses incorrect derivative accounting concealed a loss of over 2,100 crore rupees pre-tax. This comes in after RBI approved only one-year term extension to the CEO. Abhishek is here to give us more details on this one. Abhishek.
Well, it's the biggest fall in IndusInd Bank over the last few years that you are seeing in a single day. So internal review of process with respect to asset and other liability accounts of derivative portfolio has seen some hiccups. So about 2.35% of net worth to get adversely impacted. That is about 1,580 crore post-tax or about 2,100 crore pre-tax will be impacted. So they have appointed external agency to review and validate the internal findings. Now, bank's profitability and capital adequacy remains healthy to absorb this one-time impact. So what is this exactly is that on unhedged positions, you know, banks do tended to give it to third party, but over here for IndusInd Bank, it's been placed in internal, discrepancy itself. So that's what's impacted this adverse impact. So management did say in con call that the practice has been ongoing for last 5 to 7 years and was discovered as a part of review initiated following new RBI guidelines which came in effect from 1st of April 2024. So the RBI has been fully briefed on the issue. Initial and final updates have been provided to them. Now the CEO's one-year extension versus the 3-year that they had sought acknowledged to be influenced by this issue is what management did say in con call yesterday. Analysts do say that this is a one-time earnings impact but can lead to a short-term de-rating of the valuation of IndusInd Bank. They have cut earning estimate anywhere between 20% 15% to as high as 25%. Now, MK has downgraded the stock to add from buy, while MK, Jefferies as well as Citi have cut the target price on the stock. Promoter holding is about 16.3% in the entire shareholding pattern, out of which almost 51% of this is pledged. The pledge price is about 930 per share. So any lower price would adversely impact the pledge holding of the promoters in the bank. Back to you.
Thank you so much for that, Abhishek. As of now, the stock is down 26% in today's trading session. Let's also listen in to what IndusInd Bank's MD and CEO Sumant Katwalia had to say on his term extension and findings of the bank's internal review on of accounts related to its derivative portfolio. Listen in.
Of course, this would have had a bearing because they were aware of this issue. We actually, there was some inkling towards the issue, and I think I don't know what is the rationale for them to give me 1 year, but I think they're uncomfortable with the way my leadership skills of running the bank is, and we have to respect that.
And let's move on. Cryptos correct sharply on the back of increasing recession fears in the United States. Manisha is joining in with us to give us more details on this one. Good afternoon, Manisha. Crypto is also not something that is spared from this fall in the market that we're seeing.
Oh, well, absolutely. All asset classes have been declining, including the currencies as well. And crypto is not far behind because we are looking at a very increased correlation that cryptos seem to be forming with equities right now. So all in appetite asset classes have really been declining. If you look at the crypto fear and greed index, well, that's at 17. That tells you extreme fear in sense of sentiment there, and that really seems to be bothering. Also, the markets were quite happy when they saw the new US President Trump take over and the fact that the cryptos would be now included in a strategic reserve. Also, there was a White House summit on March of 7th, but there as well, not very big or bold statements were made. It was more about stable coin regulation and easing regulations from the month of August. So the cryptos clearly haven't taken too much away from this one as well. If you look at the overall numbers, especially in last couple of sessions, have been quite on the weaker side there. The crypto market cap itself also has declined by nearly 3% now, and another 5% in last 24 hours, and now stands at $2.7 trillion. Bitcoin has declined to and below 80,000 there, and we also are looking at Ethereum now trading at around November 2023 lows. This is the chart that tells you on how very strongly negative have we gone for 2025 till time. So when you look at Bitcoin, it's down by nearly 14%. Ethereum is down 43% in this year now. You have Cardano, Solana down 14 to 35%, Binance down 22%, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, all of these meme coins also have declined quite sharply, down anywhere between 10 to 20% in last 24 hours. So clearly the pain that we've seen in various other asset classes also is seen in case of cryptos.
Okay, Manisha, thank you so much for that. But on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere, viewers. We'll come back with more news and updates after this break. Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned into Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18. Now let's move on. And life insurers have released business updates for the month of February. Yash is here to give more details on this one. Good afternoon, Yash. What is the latest update coming in on the insurance fund?
Well, good afternoon. So, of course, the read-through as far as February business for life insurers is concerned, it's been weak across the board with a couple of exceptions. I'll first take you through the industry numbers itself. February premium collection in the month of February for the entire industry is down by about 12% on a year-on-year basis. For the first 11 months, it's grown by about 6%. Private life insurers, the growth in the month of February is about 3%. 11 months, it's about 11%. Total APE has grown by 8%. February retail APE has grown by 2%. Now, of course, I started by talking about how the premium collection for various life insurance companies has been weak. But the read-through which analysts are having at this point of time is that the top-line weak performance could actually be because the ULIP portfolio, which was getting very chunky premiums for life insurance companies, but because of the market correction, that could have taken a hit and the demand there could have fallen, and hence the top line has been impacted. But it's a blessing in disguise, as per various analysts I spoke to. That is because, insurance companies have been trying to move away from the ULIP segment because it's not very margin accretive, and they've been trying to move towards various other margin accretive segments. But this has finally happened not because of their efforts, but because of the correction in the equity markets itself. What this could do is it could improve the value of new business for them, or at least not get it negatively impacted, also improve the margins for these insurance companies as the shift, if at all it's happened, away from ULIPs. Just to speak about individual numbers, for HDFC Life, the numbers have been strong over a strong base which the company had. February premium growing at 24%, total AP growing at 4%, retail AP growing at 1%. ICICI Prudential, February premium growing at 5%, total AP at 13%. Retail AP has seen a degrowth or a contraction of 13%. Axis Max Life Insurance, February premium, contracting by 6%, total AP growing by 8%, retail AP growing by about 10%. Finally, SBI Life Insurance, February premium contracting by 18%, total AP contracting by 6%, retail AP contracting by 1%. LIC, February premium contracting by 22%, total AP contracting by 23%, retail AP contracting by about 17%. I'm sorry.
Okay, Yash, thank you so much for that. Let's move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has commenced his two-day visit to the state island nation of Mauritius. On his arrival, he received a ceremonial welcome from the Mauritius Prime Minister, Naveen Ramgoolam, as well as during his two-day visit, the two countries will sign several pacts providing for cooperation in the areas of capacity building, trade and tackling cross-border financial crimes. PM Modi will also be attending the island nation's National Day celebrations as the chief guest. And on that note, we're going to step into a short break. But as we step into the break, here's some good news coming in for our viewers. India's business news leader is now a click away. Introducing CNBC-TV18's all-new app. Get instant access to breaking news, in-depth articles and financial world updates at your fingertips. Download the CNBC-TV18 app now from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, or you can just scan the QR code on the screen. Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned into Business Lunch on CNBC TV18. Let's move on. And Elon Musk-owned social media platform X saw intermittent outages yesterday, and Musk blamed an unusual, powerful cyber attack as the reason. Listen in to his comments.
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Marching against the Teslas. I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty. Yeah, I mean.
But there's no turning back, you're saying?
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient.
They're setting fire to various Tesla charging stations near Boston. Shots were fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Various nonviolent...
Shots fired, not a metaphor.
Shots fired, yes. Downtown New York, marching against the Tesla showroom. Your stock is way down. You've been criticized left and right.
But look on the bright side.
I mean, why are you doing this?
Always look on the bright side of life.
Yes. And you're on it.
Yeah. I mean, just like I said, the goal here is let's not have America go bankrupt with waste and fraud. So that's what I'm here for.
And staying on with news related to Musk, hours after Tesla stock fell 15% amid growing number of attack against Tesla establishment across the United States, President Donald Trump has announced that he will buy a brand new Tesla to support the world's richest man. In a post on Truth Social, Trump also called Musk a great American and praised him for his ongoing work to bring efficiency into the federal government. Meanwhile, Tesla faces declining sales for the first time due to increased competition and backlash over Musk's role in Trump's administration. Okay, and with that, we are absolutely out of time on this edition of Business Lunch on CNBC TV18. Thank you so much for tuning in. Nifty, as of now, 22,465 is what we're watching out for. Keep an eye out on where it's headed. Up next, you have Midcap Radar.